Welcome to Mindfulness Mondays, a Department of Health conversation about mental wellness in the Virgin Islands. I am Dr. Chatelle Noel, Director of the Division of Behavioral Health. During this month, we've discussed a myriad of topics that affect our territory. However, no single issue has been reported by our students more than bullying. Bullying is a form of aggressive behavior in which someone intentionally and repeatedly causes another person injury or discomfort. Children who are bullied, those who witness bullying, and even those who bully others may have serious and lasting problems, including depression and anxiety, increased feelings of sadness and loneliness, changes in sleep and eating patterns, and loss of interest in activities they once enjoyed. This evening, I am pleased to co-host with Ms. Julicia Thomas, Territorial Behavioral Health Services Coordinator at the Division of Behavioral Health, and we're joined by Ms. Amenti Phillip, who used her voice to highlight the challenges of bullying and mental health among local youth. Good evening, ladies, and welcome.
Good evening.
Amenti, welcome.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and your high school journey.
My high school journey was definitely one to remember. I went to 4 different high schools. I've been to the Good Hope Country Day. I went to online school with the Center of Educational Growth. I've been to St. Joseph, and for my senior year, I was at St. Clair Educational Complex. It was a lot.
How would you describe your journey to becoming queen?
My journey was, I would say, very supported by my peers and my parents. I think that it was a lot that we went through to get where we came, and at the end, I think that it was all worth it. It was like a relief at the end when I won, and I saw all the happiness and everybody jumping and everything. I was like, yes.
So, what inspired you to choose mental health as your platform?
Well, mental health is a serious thing, especially in the Virgin Islands. We have the saying, it's mind your business. Everybody minds everything else but their mind. So my platform was mind your mind, it's your business, because people need to focus more on their mental health and not what's going on with everybody else around.
Can you share a little bit about what mind your mind actually looks like?
Okay, so minding your mind would be mainly like being more self-aware on what's going on with yourself. For instance, bullying. If you're getting bullied, it would help you not think about what else everybody else has to say, but think about you and what you're doing for yourself and not doing things for everybody else. So if I was supposed to be getting bullied in school and I'm like, man, like maybe I need to change my hair, maybe I need to go perm my hair because everybody telling me that my hair is not how it should be. Instead of thinking like that, I could be like, well, maybe let me go on YouTube to find some different ways to wear my hair because I like my hair and I don't want to change it for anyone else. That would be me minding my mind.
Awesome.
Nice. So I would love for you to share with the young audience listening how you cope with, or if you have dealt with bullying, what were your outlets? How did you cope with?
I did deal with bullying. I was bullied for my teeth, which is why I have braces right now. Honestly, one day I kind of just woke up and I was like, forget what everybody has to say. And me, nothing could change that, and they're gonna just have to like me for how I am.
All right. So do you consider bullying a serious problem in complex, in your community?
I definitely do think that bullying is a serious problem. I think that the adults need to pay more mind as to what is going on with the kids. I feel as though a lot of things are underlooked. I think that they need to pay more attention, have more programs going, more like sessions with the kids, and like actually like talk to them to see how they're feeling.
Well, I will share with you guys that when I was in second grade, I was very strongly bullied for my skin color, the fact that I would consider myself to be a nerd. And all I wanted to do was study. When all my friends were playing outside or, and this would be at home or even at school, I never wanted to do that. I always wanted to read or watch a documentary, things that were not cool in second grade, right? And it made me not want to go to school anymore. I remember coming home and telling my mom, I don't want to go to school anymore. I hate school. It's not where I want to be. But she was so supportive and she really listened to me and took what I was saying to heart. And she described to me what bullying was, and she told me that I'm not the only person that goes through it and some ways to cope with it. So what interventions from adults do you think would work for those individuals in your school or even younger that are being bullied?
I think that they could do more presentations or even in or out of school presentations and like find ways to get the kids engaged. You can't just have a presentation and be like, okay, we're just going to be discussing mental health. You have to find ways to actually like reel the kids in and make them interested in what you're presenting. For instance, you could simply post a picture up on a school wall and just say, scan me. I'm 100% sure at least 50% or higher of the students attending that school will scan that paper just to see what it is going on. You have to find ways to like actually make them say, I wonder what I'm going to be about. You know what I mean?
So that's actually a really good tip. I think we need to steal that and take that back to the work.
We're definitely stealing that and using that with the outreach team.
I'm sure if I was able to see a sign that says scan me in my school, I would be like, I would want to know what would be going on.
Just to see what would work, right?
Yeah.
What would come up. What are some other interventions you've seen adults use in your school besides the presentations?
I've seen documentaries like movies, but not only like, there's a difference between regular documentaries and like actually like interesting documentaries. You have to find out like what's going on in the community. So like let's say TikTok, right? Make a TikTok video explaining how people need to like focus on bullying and how it's actually affecting the kids in the area. Make it interesting, make it something that the kids actually like want to watch instead of just making a 2-hour-long documentary explaining, oh, bullying is this, bullying is that, don't bully. Make it something that's like more intriguing.
And then do you feel like youth feel heard by the adults around them?
Honestly, no. Usually when people are bullied, they might speak up and tell someone, and then be like, oh, okay, let me go talk to the person, or talk to the person and be like, oh, don't bully da-da-da-da-da again, you know, like that's not something good for you to do. But there's never really a follow-up question. Are you okay? How are you dealing with this? Is this still happening? I feel as though in the community, especially with the young people today, those are things that need to happen. Not everybody has somebody to check up on them. So even if it's like a teacher or monitor at the school or something, just a simple, hey, how are you doing today? Is everything all right? Is this still happening? I feel like that would make the kids feel more heard.
I agree. So,
how can we help from a community perspective? So not just being a school monitor or a teacher. I may not know that there's bullying going on in your school, but I may come in as a provider, for example, because you know, Department of Health, we come around, we do these presentations, and we try to come more than once, definitely. But if I'm just in the community, let's say in Kmart, and I see a young person, is there something that I can do to help that individual?
Sometimes a good afternoon or a good day or how you doing today goes a long way. Usually if someone's dealing with something, those simple greetings would indicate if they're going through something based on their response, you know? There's different things that you can do, just like that's really simple, that would help you to know if you need to ask that person, are you okay?
Definitely, thank you for your tips.
Thank you.
We'll be taking those back to our silos and making sure that we are partnering with other agencies, coming into the schools, having these conversations with the young people, not just about mental health in general, but specifically about bullying. As we entered the schools and had these conversations, it was eye-opening, I would say, to say the very least, of what you guys go through on a typical day, especially with your connection to social media. I think that has definitely changed not only how you interact, but how rapidly information is shared as well.
So, do you mind sharing any forms of bullying that you experienced or witnessed at Complex?
Yes, recently there has been this thing going around. It's called VI Confessions. It was an Instagram page that my name especially was called in it. It was said something like, "Oh, I'm into your boyfriend is cheating on you," or whatever. I completely deflected that situation. I screenshotted it. I posted it on my story, and I was just laughing at it. I was like, the fact that you really take the time out of your day to try to make people feel bad about themselves or their situations just shows that you yourself have something going on, and that's not okay. Like, whoever it is, like, are you okay? That's kind of how I deflected the situation from being like, oh my gosh, they're talking about me, what to do, what to do.
Right. And I love how you took your power back in that situation. Because we always assume bullying is verbal, right?
Yeah.
But I've heard of different forms of bullying, such as blocking a stairway when someone is trying to pass, or watching someone funny every time you see them. Have you heard of other types of bullying or witnessed other types of bullying as well?
I definitely have seen that, especially both in public and private school. The blocking stairways, the watching you, then turning to your friends and laughing. Honestly, it does take a lot on people. Like, for instance, if you and your friends that are and you watch the person, and then like you look to your friends and you're laughing, you would see like that entire person's demeanor would change completely. It takes a lot out of people.
So a lot of the times we hear, we talk about students or children bullying each other. Have you ever seen adults bullying children?
Definitely. Even when it comes to a simple good afternoon, I have been in a situation myself where attending the Good Hope Country, I had a little encounter with a girl, and me and her, we used to be friends. You know, every time I saw her mom, it was a good afternoon and stuff. But as soon as we stopped being friends, I would say good afternoon, and like she would just like watch me and like turn the next way and keep walking. I would take that as a sign of bullying, because it's like you as an adult is stooping lower to a child's level, and it's actually like stopping your manners. And like, it's a simple like good afternoon, no matter what the kids have going on. I don't think that parents need to get involved in those type of situations.
Absolutely.
I agree.
So my last question to you would be, what recommendations do you have? You had some for the adults. What recommendations do you have for youth who are watching other children being bullied? How can they intervene in safe ways?
The safest way that I would say is to, after you see it happening, go and talk to the person. If you don't want to intervene, go and ask the person, like, you know, like, are you okay? Would you like to talk about anything? You know, like, try to make the person your friend necessarily, like, to make sure, like, they have somebody to talk to, somebody that they're comfortable expressing themselves with, because they might not have that at home. That might just be better ways to help everybody be better, well-rounded, you know, like, better individuals, and I think that would be, well.
That's awesome. So being
Great
a support
advice.
system.
Yeah.
Great advice. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Hi, I'm Renelle Harris, Miss St. Croix 2022-2023. Lending my voice and new platform as Festival Queen to help end HIV in the territory. It's not just a slogan. It's this generation's responsibility to make it a reality. Getting tested and knowing your status empowers you with the knowledge and resources to stay free and rid these Virgin Islands of HIV. So do it for you, do it for me, do it for Alawi, and end HIV.
Welcome back to Mindfulness Mondays, and thank you, Amenti, for giving us such great information. We continue this segment with Julicia and myself, just discussing how we as parents, as caregivers, as adults and professionals can give back to our youth. So how can we teach our children the difference between a joke and actually being bullied?
Yeah, so a joke is when someone usually says something to someone in amusement or laughter, right, in a friendly manner. But bullying is when you're intentionally trying to hurt someone's feelings by words or actions. So it's important, as the person being bullied, that you speak up. Like, if you feel like your feelings are being hurt and they're doing something that you don't like, talk to an adult, talk to someone in your school, a counselor. And bullying never is a one-time thing. This is a thing that happens repeatedly over and over. So don't allow it to just make you a victim. But it's important to stand up and let your voice be heard.
Awesome. I love that. Let your voice be heard.
Yes. So being a mom, how do you allow your children to balance using the internet while staying away from cyberbullying traps?
So for me, it's really important to know what my children are actually watching and making sure that I know, for example, what rating it is, if it's a movie, if they're online on something like YouTube. I've learned over the years, YouTube is a very slippery slope. So I don't want to shelter them and they're not exposed to anything that may be online that they may need, for example, for learning or entertainment, but making sure that I ask questions like, what did you watch today? Or like I would walk past them and just peek over their shoulder just to make sure that they're not engaging in, for example, the comment section on YouTube can be very vicious. So explaining to them what they're seeing, why someone may want to hurt someone else because they're hurting themselves, but also knowing what social media platforms they're participating in. So for example, things like Facebook and Instagram used to have very strong parental controls, privacy settings, and those things have changed. TikTok is something that I know a lot of parents don't know a lot about. So our children can show you different modes, vanish mode, where they're posting something only on their account versus something that they're actually sharing with the world. And also teaching children that once you post something online, it is there forever.
Correct.
So even if you decide that you are going to pull it down or you're going to delete something, the fact that our phones have these abilities to screenshot or screen record, that information could be out there forever and you can't pull it back.
I agree. And going to the schools, we've seen that happen a lot. A lot of the times, the children talk to us about the experiences about cyberbullying and having those sharing information online that they can't get rid of, and it's really detrimental to those children and how they feel and how it affects them. So as a parent, that is very important, navigating what they're on.
Absolutely.
So you shared your experience with bullying. Have the youth in your life experienced bullying?
Yes, actually, I have cousins, I have multiple children, so I've listened to their stories and how different my 16-year-old experience is life, my 12-year-old experience is life, and even my 2-year-old. I see how he interacts in school, and he may not be able to verbalize, hey, I'm being bullied, but I make sure I drop in and I stop by and I talk to his teachers, like, does he get along with the children in his class? But my 12-year-old and my 16-year-old are able to verbalize what's happening with them. And although it's not happening now, I've seen what they've experienced in other schools and their discomfort with wanting to share that information because it's almost a mark against them, like something's wrong with them for being bullied. Mm-hmm. So I've seen it happen, and I've seen it happen. A question that you had asked a mentee was, has it happened from an adult? And unfortunately, I've seen it happen from adults, where this person is supposed to represent a safe space for my child, and that person was not a safe space. And I didn't recognize it until they were actually triggered by interacting with another adult. And I was like, why is your response so visceral? Why are you so emotional about what that person said? Normally you let things roll off your back. And that's when my daughter broke down and she said, no, like this has happened to me in a different setting. Mm-hmm. And I had to really sit with that and deal with the emotions of not knowing. I think that's hard for a parent or a caregiver, just the not knowing that your child went through something or wasn't comfortable sharing with you what happened to them. And we talked in our first episode about suicide prevention. Just knowing what your children is going through is really important because you never know whether or not you represent a safe space if you're not actually open to having those tough conversations with your children.
So what is the advice you would give to other parents who are going through that same situation with their children and sometimes not knowing that their child is being bullied? What is your advice? How do you speak to your children about this topic?
I think part of it is having the conversation. So we tend to shy away from certain conversations with our children just culturally. In another episode, we talked about how a child should be seen and not heard. But the youth are no longer in that position or in that space where they're saying, I'll accept whatever happens to me. No, they're verbalizing what's happening to them. And if they're uncomfortable verbalizing, it's because you may not represent a safe space. So taking a step back and recognizing that children are not going through what we went through when we were their age.
Correct.
Times have changed. Things that we, comfortably talk about as adults, we may not have been comfortable talking to our parents about, and same thing for them. Mm-hmm. Even if we are professionals in the field and we have all these degrees that we can say, I know how to analyze someone. Yes, we may know how to do that in a professional role, but we want to take off that hat when we go home. And part of us needs to keep that hat on. We need to make sure that our children are not only comfortable speaking to us, but they know even if they're not comfortable speaking to us in this moment, that we do represent safety and that we are able to have these conversations openly and sharing what we go through.
Right.
I think that's a big part of it, that we have not been comfortable sharing what our own experiences are. So I speak openly about when I was bullied in 2nd grade. I've told my children, I've shared it earlier on the show, because I want people to know that just because you may seem like you have it all together, that doesn't mean that you haven't been through something. What do you think are some signs that parents can actually look for in their children if they're not actually speaking out verbally about what they're going through?
So there's a lot of signs that you can look for. Unexplained injuries, loss of items. If your child just seems very anxious going to school, they don't want to go to bed, they don't want to do the things that they love to do anymore. They used to play sports, they used to want to do art, they don't want to do anything. They're very to themselves, they want to be in their room, they don't want to communicate with their friends. Yep. Just a lot of things like this that you really should pay attention to. Change a routine, you know. Just like you said, you have to know what's going on in your child's life. And if you're talking to them, you're knowing if something is different or if something has changed. So it's very important to be involved. There's gonna be signs, and we just have to be aware of them. So, and when we go to the schools, we speak about these signs. We give information to the children and to give their parents, and just make them aware, like, okay, if this is happening to you, this is what you're looking for, and this is what we can do to help.
And I think something else that's really important is for parents to not be hard on themselves if they miss some of the signs.
Correct.
We are in a culture, in a society where we're always busy, right? We're always going to the next thing. I'm rushing from work to make sure the children are fed, to make sure school clothes are ironed, to make sure I sort the laundry. It's always something else. So if you do miss a sign rushing, but then you learn about it afterward, forgive yourself, enjoy that space that now you know about it, right? So move forward from that point and have that conversation going forward.
Yes, exactly. Don't blame yourself. We do get caught up in our own lives.
Yeah.
So just being aware.
Absolutely.
So, is there peer pressure for our young people to even speak out against bullying?
I think there is, only because I've seen how pressured some of that conversation can be. So even when your child is speaking to you, you may see them put their head down, or they'll give you piece of the story, they won't give you the full thing. I know for myself, when I've had to enter that, I don't want to say a confrontation, but I've had that conflict resolution conversation of, this is what I've seen in my child, and I want to go to a school official or someone to talk about, whether it be a counselor, a principal, a teacher, can we have a meeting with the other parent? The story unfolds in the meeting. And sometimes we're blindsided by that conversation because we didn't know some of the aspects of that conversation. So there's this fear that if I speak up, there's going to be retaliation. Correct. If I post how I'm feeling, someone's going to twist my words, or you're not actually going to understand where I'm coming from. So we have to be careful when we are asking our children what's actually going on with you, or not even our own children, because again, we do this professionally. So when we go into the schools, we want to make sure that the children in the schools feel that this is a safe space. So we always engage in a conversation of, you don't have to say anything that you're uncomfortable saying. If you want us to come back, and like Amenti said, do that follow-up, we're happy to come back. We're happy to schedule that. If you want to come into the office, because in the school setting, they may not be comfortable having those conversations. But if it's one-on-one in one of our mobile vans, if it's in our actual office, then they may actually have those conversations with us. And then having those spaces where the parents and the child are separated first, and then bringing them together. Something that we've been talking about with our Health Disparities Office is healthy me, healthy family, healthy community. So making sure that we're touching all of those pieces, I think is going to be really important to lift some of that pressure off of our children who are afraid to have those conversations.
Exactly, afraid to speak out, and we see it all the time. So they're labeled a snitch, or you told someone. You get this bad label once you speak out, but we're here to tell you that it's important to speak out, and it's okay. It's okay if it hurts your feelings. Speak to someone; they're going to help you. There's people that's going to protect you. So that's a very important message that we want to put out there.
Absolutely. So for my last question, because we could do this all day, right?
Yes,
I say that with every
yes.
episode. What are some of the services that we offer at the Division of Behavioral Health for bullying prevention?
Currently, we go into all the schools in the territory and we give presentations on bullying. We have open discussions. We give out resources and tips about, the signs and what to look for and how to speak up about it. We bring, like we said, we bring our mobile vans out. They can speak to us privately. We have the state prevention person who comes in and just speaks to them one-on-one if they want to speak after presentations. We do a good job of following up if anybody wants to do actual counseling, see someone in our office. We have all these great resources and tools that we're trying to put out in the community so they know this is some place that is a safe space for you if you need to speak to someone, and we can help you overcome any issues with bullying or any other issues that you may be experiencing. So we have a lot of different services we offer, and we're more than happy to help the community.
And for anyone that is not comfortable having those conversations, we push the 988. So you may feel culturally that we don't have a space for you. We do, but if you don't feel comfortable having that conversation just yet, we definitely want to highlight 988.
Yes.
We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Hi, I'm Renelle Harris, Miss St. Croix 2022-2023. Lending my voice and new platform as Festival Queen to help end HIV in the territory. It's not just a slogan. It's this generation's responsibility to make it a reality. Getting tested and knowing your status empowers you with the knowledge and resources to stay free and rid these Virgin Islands of HIV. So do it for you, do it for me, do it for Alawi, and end HIV.
Thank you, Julicia, for a great conversation. Each bullying incident is a complex interaction. While there might be one ringleader, the bystanders are often involved. Adults, we encourage you to talk to the youth about what bullying is and how to stand up to it safely. Check in with your kids often. Listen to them, know their friends, ask about school, and understand their concerns. But most of all, model kind behavior. Although this is our last episode of Mindfulness Monday for Mental Health Awareness Month, we encourage you to be kind to yourself, forgive others, and take one moment at a time. Thank you to the Division of Behavioral Health staff, the Office of Gun Violence Prevention, and Yogi Mandy for all of your support and words of wisdom to the community. Thank you for playing an integral role in changing the narrative of mental wellness in the Virgin Islands. Before you leave, please enjoy this Mindfulness Minute with Amanda Armstrong, yoga instructor.
Hey guys, my name is Amanda Armstrong, also known as Yogi Mandy, here for a mindful moment. Let's take a second to close your eyes and slow down your breath. Finding length through your spine, relaxing your shoulders. Let's take a cleansing breath in together and a long breath out. Finding a moment of peace within you to just be here. Our mind is one of the most powerful tools we have access to. We are what we think, and what we think is who we will become. Thinking positive and believing in yourself can truly enhance your self-esteem, your confidence, and your life. It can also help reduce negative thinking patterns and self-doubt. A great way to overcome these mental challenges are daily affirmations. I am are two little words that hold the most incredible power and true potential within us. So I invite you to say a few I am affirmations after me. I am strong. I am capable. I am worthy. I am important. I am unique. I am loved. I am enough. And take the next moment to truly believe you are all those things and so much more. Keep breathing, keep believing, you got this. Before I go, I would love to add that yoga is a beautiful wellness practice for your mind and body. It's a safe space to relax, observe, connect, and move mindfully with your breath. I am truly honored to share my yoga practice with my Virgin Islands community, and I hope to see many of you on the mat one day. Sending everyone peace and love. Lastly, please enjoy this short song bath meditation.